Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the 17th episode of Coaster Time, hosted by me, Carrick from Coaster Hour. And how these live streams work, if you are new, is basically I go through various different segments such as news, trivia, Q&A, discussions, and more. And you, the viewers, can participate in many of these segments. And today I am joined by none other than Mike from Canobie Coaster, one of my personal favorite coaster content creators out there, and I have gone on record saying that I actually like his coaster reviews the best out of any of the coaster channels out there, so pretty high praise. But I'm happy to have you on here, and since you are new to the stream, if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. So as you can probably guess from my name, a big fan of Canobie, grew up around the park, and I'm just a big roller coaster fan and just like interacting with everyone.
Yeah, and then like where to find you also, I guess, if you want to go into that.
Yeah, so primarily on YouTube. I also have an Instagram and a Facebook. Don't use the Facebook too often. There's also a Discord server for the channel that have a lot of good discussions going on.
Already nice. And then I'll just ask the chat real quick. Is the audio good? Trying to make sure. I just want to make sure that it's all clear. And if it's good to go, then we're going to head straight into the news segment, which there was quite a bit to go through this week. But I'll wait to see and make sure if the audio is good. Alrighty, sounds like we're good. So I'm going to go straight into the news. So let me pull that up real quick. And we should be going. Alrighty. So our first bit of news is something that was very shocking, I think, for a lot of us, very tragic. And of course, I think a lot of us have kind of heard about this now, but if you haven't heard, on the night of Friday, June 4th at Holiday World during Halloween Nights, Dawn Jankovic, who is a mother, was found unconscious after riding the voyage and was taken to a hospital immediately afterward. But unfortunately, despite the park and hospital's best efforts, she would end up passing away. And like I said, obviously, this is a very tragic and really shocking story. This is not really anything you want to see ever, and for it to happen at such a big event like this is just horrible. And so with that being said, for anyone who wants to send a message to support Don's son Gunnar, he's 17 years old. I have his Instagram linked in the description. It's at the very top. And then also if you want to help donate for the funeral, the GoFundMe will be linked there. But they've actually already reached their goal, which was $4,000. I think they're around 11,000 right now. But if you still want to donate, I have both links in the description. And you can do that if you want. But yeah, like I said, pretty tragic for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely sad to see, because I was at Halloween Nights when that happened. And basically, some clarification. So the incident occurred about an hour before Halloween Nights ERT was supposed to happen. And so there's a Halloween Nights Facebook group, and right before the ERT was supposed to start, someone posted in the group saying, and it was Gunnar, he posted that my mom was the one who got knocked out. At the time, no one realized how serious it was, because we thought, oh, if someone posted on Facebook, it must not be super serious yet. But then right around when ERT was supposed to start, one of the trains was transferred off voyage, which we thought was a little weird that they'd run at less than full capacity. Then they took the other train off the track, and we were told that ERT would be delayed. But at the time, they still thought the ride was going to open. And then about 10 minutes later on Facebook, it popped up that Holiday World posted they were keeping the ride closed out of respect for the family in light of what had happened earlier in the day. And I'm just glad that most people at the event were respectful and understanding of the decision. It was definitely, it was like the air was sucked out of the room. No one was happy about what happened, obviously, but it was bigger than just riding a roller coaster, what happened that night. And like you said, definitely take a look at the GoFundMe and definitely help them out if you can. I'm glad that the community came together to support them.
Yeah, I believe over 200 donations for the GoFundMe, so definitely a coming together of the community. there. But like I said, pretty shocking. Moving on to more, I guess, like I said, moving on to the ride openings. We had quite a few this week. Obviously, we had Velocicoaster, which grand opened for the first time. Picture from Hunter from Theme Park Hunting. He allowed me to use it because I was tired of using the concept art all the time. So that's why I'm using this one. But also Monster at Grunewald opened, I believe, last week, along with Avengers Campus at Disney's California Adventure, Twin Spin at Enchanted Kingdom in the Philippines, which is a mock spinning coaster, and Legoland New York also opened recently, along with Supergirl Skyflyer at Six Flags New England, which apparently opened today, so pretty recent stuff. Haven't gotten the chance to ride any of these. I know you have gotten the chance to do Velocicoaster, which is awesome, Mike.
Correct. Velocicoaster is amazing, and I was actually following what happened today, and the crowds weren't as bad as most Universal ride openings. The longest line I saw was 3 hours for it, and everyone who went said that the line was basically estimated by a factor of 2, which goes to show that they had this ride soft open for basically a month, so they were able to get all the kinks worked out. And a lot of people who wanted to ride already had been there, so it wasn't the rush like for Hagrid's when that was the first time the ride opened.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to see that. I guess it was good that they did open, like you said, so they could work out the kinks. And so, yeah, I heard about it was like 3 to 4 hours at most. So, yeah, that's pretty good. And yeah, you got to ride it, so that's awesome. Of course, these other attractions also look great. But that's probably going to be the headliner just in general. As for new attractions coming up, this has sort of opened in a sense, but Jersey Devil Coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure will be opening on June 13th to the public. It will be opening for pass holder previews tomorrow and on the 12th. And it's some people have already ridden it because of, I think, like photo and video shoots and other things of that sort. So it looks really good in my opinion, but it's definitely a ride I think a lot of us have been looking forward to. So it's great to see that it finally opened.
Yeah, and one interesting thing I'm hearing about people who have ridden it is the front or back might not be the best seat because how long that train is. It's basically an optimization game to see which row is the best. Like one of my friends who went said row 8 was his favorite, and he had been front, back, and middle.
Oh, wow. Dang. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. But yeah, definitely, I probably will have to get a lot of rides on it whenever I get out there. Or wait, actually, well, whenever it comes to Magic Mountain, more like actually.
Yep.
So yeah, but still pretty cool to hear about it. So it's pretty cool to see a larger scale Raptor actually open. Next, we have some more obscure rides that are opening this weekend, and they are Water Jumper, which is... I have the link to the video in the description. The picture on the right doesn't really do it justice. It's this weird thing that is... No one... I don't know if it's considered a coaster, but it has a lift hill, a turnaround, and it has a drop that leads into a jump into basically this sort of like water pool. It looks really weird. It looks really crazy just kind of from the video. It just looks super bizarre. But they're advertising it as like a one-of-a-kind attraction. Not sure if it is, but it's definitely unique to me. So that was interesting to see. And they're also opening an SDC Zyklon called Galaxy 500. This is going to Cedar Valley's Wild Frontier Park in Michigan. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, so a note on the water ride. If you're familiar with those Nautic jet rides that you see all throughout Europe, this is basically a complete circuit version of that ride. I've ridden one of those. It's very freaky when your boat leaves, jumps in the air and splashes down. And, this one looks like it's set up a little bit differently. Probably because in Europe, it's run without an operator. You basically pull a lever and it's self-operated. In the US, They're probably need a full circuit just with how, the rules are in the US.
Huh. I'm surprised you've actually done one of something like this. That's pretty cool. But yeah, this thing, like I said, it looked crazy. If you have time, I have the video link in the description. Definitely make sure to check it out. Next, we have Gravitrax. This will be the first SBF Visa spinner with hamster cars that will be opening in Europe, I believe. I believe this will be the first one. It's opening at Ravensburger Spielland in Germany on June 22nd. Not too much else to say, at least from me, but should be a fun ride for those who go out to ride it.
Yeah, it's nice how these rides offer both a thrilling experience and a family experience in one.
Yeah, for sure. Next, we have another coaster that will be opening soon. This is, and if my pronunciation is bad, oh well, but Orochi. This will be the new Vekoma suspended family coaster going to Parc du Bocage in France. It will be opening on July 1st, and I don't know for sure if the name is taken from that B&M invert that operated. I forget where it operated at, but it had the same name. But it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was Expo Land.
Oh, Expo Land? Yeah. I'd heard that they used the name because of that, but I'm not sure, and I kind of doubt it, but maybe that is the reasoning. I'm not entirely sure. But pretty interesting for sure, just to kind of see that name return in some sort of form. Next, we have a very recent announcement. This came out within the last few hours. Storm Runner is reopening on June 11th. Hershey Park released this on their Facebook page. Very good to see. This is my second favorite coaster at Hershey Park. Granted, I haven't done Canobie, but very good ride in my opinion, and happy to see it reopen.
Yeah, I was there a few weeks ago. They had the giant spooler on putting the cable on, so not quite sure what took a year to get the parts for it. I'm guessing it was something related to the launch, but the fact they just started testing it, 2 days ago and already have it ready to go for tomorrow is incredible.
Yeah, they got on it about as quick as possible. I mean, but I mean, it's good that they did it, but definitely feels like it feels like it should have happened by now, but at least they went pretty quickly about it, like with the testing and everything. The next bit of news is that this is the last opportunity, it seems like, for Zonga, also known as Tsunami or Thriller. It has a bunch of different names because it's operated at a bunch of different parks. Basically, the Schwarzkopf multi-looper has gone on sale for what will be the final time at a price of around $151,000. It doesn't seem very likely it's going to get saved, but that is what is happening. That, I think, happened. It went on sale, I think, last week, if I'm correct. But that's something. Never got the chance to ride this. At least I didn't.
Clementon Park 2022 ? I mean, Gene Staples saved Chimera, which we thought was done.
That's true. I think when I saw this, I instantly thought of Gene Staples. That would be amazing if he was able to save this one. Don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it. I guess crazier things have happened, so who knows. Next, we have Barry's Amusements in Northern Ireland. This is the largest park in Northern Ireland. It is up for sale, looking for a new owner. It hasn't operated since 2019. Their main coaster is Looping Pinfari Zyklon, so not the greatest park in the world, but obviously for an area like Northern Ireland that doesn't really have too much, hopefully they're able to get someone to buy this park. Next, we have a recent closing of a ride. Fuji-Q Highland has closed Tondamina, their frisbee ride. It's actually going to be relocated because they're actually building a new coaster in the area that it was located. They also removed other attractions, have been removing them over the past few months. And speaking of which, on the mobile app, the 2022 coaster has shown up, but it's under a bunch of blankets. It's basically just a tease, but they've showed the area that it's in, which, like I said, is kind of in the same general area that the Frisbee was in. So pretty interesting. We still don't really know what the coaster is going to be going to Fuji-Q Highland, but it's definitely interesting to see.
Yeah, especially considering, if anyone who hasn't been to Fuji-Q, you'd think with as many big rides as it has, it's a huge park. It's actually a really small and compact park. It reminded me in terms of size of Kennywood. Just it doesn't have much land to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard that it is a lot smaller than you would expect, so they have to get pretty crafty when it comes to all this stuff. When it comes to like fitting in coasters and rides, really.
Yeah. I am because I remember a while ago they announced how much the new ride was going to cost, and the rumor I saw was going to be some type of launch motorbike coaster. I'm surprised how much that would cost if that's really what it is.
Yeah, that I know the person who found that video of the motorbike. It because the deal was in the video it had the Fujiyama in the background. But the video also said that it was the motorbike coaster was going to be the first one going to Vietnam, which kind of didn't make sense because of the background. It was a very weird video. I don't think that's what it is. I think that might have been like a pitch or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe that is what it is, but I don't think that would cost like I think it was like around 32, 33 million. Seems kind of far-fetched, but maybe it isn't. But we'll have to see. Next, we have another ride closing. This is Gardaland in Italy. They have closed Ramses the Awakening, which was a dark ride that opened in 2009, and the ride will be replaced by something new in 2022, which is rumored to either be a dark ride or a coaster, but we really don't know at this point. Just something maybe to keep an eye on for sure. Have you been to
Yeah, and they have a lot
Gardaland?
of space to work with in that building. Considering, so it was a decent shooter. The laser sights worked, all the targets worked. The problem was it had these huge set pieces, but the sets didn't move at all. So basically, it was
Oh.
just you just had these giant figures that didn't move. So if they want to put a coaster in there, they could very well fit one.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because when I saw like people were thinking it might be a coaster, I'm like, could it be? But now hearing that, I guess that seems to make a little more sense. We'll just kind of have to wait and see on that though. But I'm definitely interested to see what happens here. Next, we have Zamperla has released new information about their lightning train. This is, I believe they revealed this train a few years back, but it will have lap bars and padded seats. It should just be a more comfortable train in general. And it will be able to be utilized on both launch coasters and coasters with a lift hill. Can have onboard audio, as you can see in the picture. And I think there were a few other things kind of that they mentioned that was new. But also along with that, they also stated that they will unveil their most unique and innovative coaster concepts yet later this year. We'll have to wait and see what those are. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but it's definitely interesting. And if you've been following Zamperla, they have definitely been advertising that they're kind of going in a new direction with their coasters compared to the past. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. But yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yeah, this train reminded me a lot of the Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster trains. I just hope that the lap bar isn't like the panini press used in Thunderbolt. I hope it's a little better, but from the picture, it does look like it's an improvement.
Yeah, like I said, I think they showed the train off at IAPA one year, but I'm not certain of it. Next, we have something that is very unusual. I'll actually take this banner off just so you guys can actually see the coaster. But Golden Horse has unveiled a new modern launch coaster with vest restraints. We'll see if any of these get built. Chances are a park in China will take a chance on this, so we'll see. Definitely looks pretty strange, but I'm definitely very curious to see what this thing actually would look like in real life if it ever comes to be. But definitely something I was not expecting to see at all, but definitely something pretty interesting.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the Mach Blue Fire layout, but with like B&M vest restraints instead.
Yeah, I can now looking at the picture, I can kind of see it. The only thing that kind of throws me off is the first element it kind of shows here is like this I don't even I don't even it looks kind of strange.
It looks like a giant
Um
Immelman.
yeah, and that's the first thing it does. That's kind of interesting if they actually go that route. We'll have to see what happens with this thing, but definitely interesting. Next, we have a fire which broke out at Universal Studios Hollywood. This happened on June 1st of this year near the Despicable Me Minion Mayhem ride. The ride wasn't damaged. And this picture is actually not of the fire that occurred this year. But the kind of crazy thing about this fire is kind of the timing of it. Because it actually occurred exactly 13 years after the major fire that happened on June 1st of 2008, which was also at Universal Studios Hollywood. In the back lot, it destroyed 3 acres of it and also destroyed the King Kong Encounter attraction before the newer one they have. That's part of the studio tour. It was just kind of crazy timing. And the fire itself was, you could see it from supposedly like a good distance away from Universal, the one that happened recently. So that was kind of just a weird sort of thing that happened this year. Pretty unusual. Speaking of fires, someone apparently set fire to Timber Terror at Silverwood. It was dealt with pretty quickly, and so no major damage was taken, but just another kind of weird thing that happened. And it's still operating. It was able to operate pretty quickly afterwards.
Yeah, the one thing that just, when I heard that news about Silverwood, that just went through my head is I know Canobie's has no borders, and I'm just thankful something like that didn't happen there because I don't know if they have security overnight at that park.
They had some. It was able to be quickly handled because they had someone like kind of walking, I think, around the perimeter, and they saw it. So, and it was at night, so they have
It makes
some
sense if you have a
sort
closed gate like Silverwood, but I'm just thinking like a park like Canobie's, they just have open borders and you can walk in whenever you want. I'm just glad it didn't happen in a place like that.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff still. I'm surprised that would have happened. In other news, Efteling will be allowed to move forward with their 2030 expansion plan. Not much information has been released about it. I don't know if the expansion actually starts in 2030 or if it's leading up to it. But the plan just got approved, so they'll be moving forward with it unless something changes. But like I said, I don't know too much about it. I do have a link in the description to an article that I think has a little more information. But like I said, all I know is that they had a pretty major expansion that got approved. So I don't know too much about it outside of that. By any chance, do you know anything more about this, Mike, or no?
No, Efteling's usually pretty good about keeping their stuff secretive until it happens. I just know in Europe there are a lot of parks that have to deal with nearby neighbors, and Efteling's one of them.
Yeah, that's probably had to do with what has been taking this a while, because I know they've been kind of looking at this for a while. The next thing we have is Superman Escape from Krypton will feature front-facing seats for, I believe, the first time since 2010. One of the sides will have cars facing forward, or a car facing forward, and the other side will have a car facing backwards, so you can finally actually choose, which I think is really cool. It's just, I've never been able to experience it facing forward, and I imagine probably there's a lot of other people who haven't yet, so it should be pretty interesting to experience that finally. I'm pretty excited about this one.
And hopefully they are able to have both sides running on the same day. Every time I've gone, either they have one side going or the ride's closed.
That is true. Now that I think about it, most of my visits, that's generally how it is. So hopefully that also works out. They did improve the launch, so hopefully it also helps its reliability. We'll see. It's still pretty interesting to see. And yeah, hopefully both sides are open during the same day. SeaWorld Orlando will be hosting their first ever Howl-O-Scream event this year. This is the event that has been at the Busch Gardens parks, and I believe SeaWorld San Antonio did it a few years ago, but this is the first time that Orlando's doing it, and they recently announced it. San Diego announced theirs earlier in the year as well, so they're also doing it. So haven't been to one of these, but should be something interesting for those who live in Orlando. Next, we have Dollywood, which will be receiving a new resort named Heart Song Lodge and Resort. It's opening in 2023. And if you watch the announcement video, I'm not sure the position of the person speaking, but he mentioned that along with the resort, that they would also be getting a new record-breaking attraction that will be coming in 2023. So we'll have to wait and see what that is, but that's definitely something interesting. He didn't say anything more than record-breaking attraction, but that was pretty much all he had to say. So that's definitely something interesting to keep our eyes on. Heading toward kind of like the end of the news, like I said, there was quite a bit. The B&M Wing Coaster at Fantasy Valley in China has gone vertical. This is not a picture of it, obviously, but I couldn't really get a picture I could use for it. So, but I have a link in the description, which actually has a picture if you want to see it. It has blue track. And like I said, the lift hill is the thing that has been starting to be getting built, I guess. So that's pretty much that.
Yeah, and China has so many of the good wing coasters over there. It's crazy to think they're getting another one that could be really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen the layout for it. I don't know if we do know the layout for it, this new one. But Falcon and a few of the other ones look really good. So definitely want to check those out when I can. And speaking of international coasters, the trackwork of Bombay Express at Bollywood Parks Dubai appears to be complete. This is the GCI wooden coaster going to Dubai that is said to have the most airtime moments of any wooden coaster. And they actually released the number of airtime moments the ride will have, which they are saying that this coaster will feature 33 airtime moments. This is from a Skyline Attractions article because they're doing some sort of work for the ride, so they did an article and released it about 3 days ago. And if you want to see more pictures of Bombay Express, in the description I have the link that has more of them. And also, as you can see, the drop looks pretty steep for a GCI, at least from what I can tell. So should be pretty interesting to learn more about this ride. And the next thing we have is that Skyhawk at Fun Spot Orlando is now testing. It literally got, I think, built and tested within like 72 hours or something crazy like that. If that's a little bit exaggerated, someone can let me know. But it basically got built up very quickly and now it's testing. So pretty crazy. Looks like a pretty fun ride. And a good addition to Fun Spot Orlando.
Yeah, I was at Fun Spot Orlando 3 weeks ago. There was no signs of this ride anywhere, and now it just popped up.
Yeah, it was crazy because I remember seeing a post. Like I said, I think it was like within 2 to 3 days. Fun Spot made a post saying, "Oh, okay, the pieces are on site," and then like it seemed like less than 2 to 3 days later, it's like, "Oh, now it's testing," and it's like, how? Pretty
well,
crazy.
they got a portable version. It makes sense because you know how quick a carnival ride can go up.
I guess that's true. I don't know. Is this the first of its kind? I thought I heard it was. I'm not sure if it is. It's kind of a weird ride. I forget what exactly the model is and who made it. But should be interesting to experience. Next, we have Movie Park Studios at Movie Park Germany has begun testing. This came out today. Once again, pictures of the actual testing are in the description in the link. This is a picture of the interior. It's going to be a heavily themed, intimate launch / multi-dimensional coaster, I believe. So should be pretty interesting. And it's going to be more of a family coaster. But it has begun testing. Pretty mysterious ride, I think, otherwise, though. Next, we have another piece of news for Velocicoaster, and that is that basically some teens threw cups of ice at a moving train on Velocicoaster during the Mosasaurus roll. The guests were escorted out of the park and might be facing some sort of ban. This happened, I'd like to say, actually, I think within the last week. but I just heard about it very recently. This is kind of like the Steel Vengeance incident a few years ago with the hot sauce, but now it's with ice. Pretty dumb thing to do, but in a way, I do kind of find it almost funny just because it's like, this is so similar to something that happened on Steel Vengeance, but obviously this is not something that anyone should do, so.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it doesn't have any implications where like they put a bunch of netting around the ride, especially in light of, how Dragon's Challenge had all those issues where I think it was like a wrist rocket hit someone in the face or something on that ride.
Ooh. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I hope that they don't. That's the kind of unfortunate part of all this is like, I mean, if they do it, it's justified, but it's just like if people actually would follow the rules and everything, this wouldn't be happening. But I guess it is what it is. The last sort of news thing I have, this is sort of a channel announcement of mine. I'll probably say this once again toward the end. And I have already mentioned this on Instagram and Discord, but basically I'll be fully committing the channel and myself to live content and interviews. So coaster time like this, I'm pretty much committing to that. Reason being is because I'm becoming busier with other things. I'm going to college next year. I may be getting a job pretty soon. That's not a guarantee, but it could happen. So I'm just getting busier. And I just want to focus on certain types of content here. And things that make my channel stand out, and I think the live streams and the interviews, which I plan on doing, will help out in doing that. So that's pretty much that announcement, and I hope you guys are excited. Oh, also one last thing, this sort of contradicts that, but I still will be releasing my 2 Under the Radar coaster videos. I have the scripts for them done, so I'll be releasing them this summer, but outside of that, it's gonna be pretty much focusing in on the live stuff, but because I have those scripts done, I'm gonna be doing that. So that about wraps up the news. That was a lot to go through. Probably went a little too long on some things, so my bad on that. Yeah, we'll be going into our first Q&A session, and then of course I'll have the quiz. The quiz link is in the chat. I believe it's pinned, but you guys can ask us any questions right now. So yeah, first chance for Q&A is right now. And let me get the quiz up as well so we can have that ready to go when everything gets going. So yeah, alrighty. First question I believe has come in from Christian from Theme Park Horizons. Underrated dark rides at Disney or Universal parks? Mike, you can go first with this one.
I think one of the ones I can think of off the top of my head is Secret Life of Pets. I know it just came out, but considering how many sets there are in that ride, I don't think it's getting enough attention because for the longest time, everyone said Universal needed more, less screens. They built a full dark ride of animatronics, and I don't hear people talk about as much as I thought they would.
Yeah, it's a ride I'm definitely intrigued to ride. I'm not a big fan of the movies, but it definitely seems like it should be a fun ride, and it seems like there's a lot behind it that just is pretty interesting. So that's definitely one I could see. I guess I did go to Disneyland recently, so I guess I'll say an underrated one that I don't hear getting talked about. I thought Alice in Wonderland, out of the Fantasyland rides, was actually one of my favorites of the ones there. So that would be my pick. It's pretty charming, and I think the animatronics and other things, I think they look pretty nice comparatively to the other ones, and I just like the vibe of the ride overall. So that's one of my favorite Fantasyland rides there. So that would be my pick. Let's see, any other questions have come in. Let's see. Oh, this is for you. This is a recurring question. Have you ever gotten sick on a coaster?
Not on a coaster. The only ride that can really make me sick is a swinging ship.
Oh, a swinging ship. I used to love those when I was younger, before I was a coaster enthusiast. So So I find that funny. I haven't ridden one in ages, but
It's weird. I'm
yeah.
fine on like frisbees and screaming swings, but a swinging ship can do it. I just think it's something with how fast it swings compared to the other ones. I have no clue what it is.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, that's pretty funny. But yeah, I imagine you haven't ridden one in a while then.
That'd be
Um,
correct.
what coaster would you want to see added next to Six Flags Great America? I guess if we could have any pick, you can go first with this one.
Yeah, for that park, I mean, they have a pretty diverse and well-rounded lineup. Um, I'm just trying to think what Six Flags likes to add. I'm guessing maybe a Raptor would be good for them. Ideally, I'd love to see them RMC American Eagle. I just don't know if they'd do it. But I could see them giving that park a Raptor, considering if they're willing to put a Raptor in Great Adventure and Magic Mountain, Great America is another one of their big parks.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Raptor, but since you used it, I mean we haven't seen him get built yet, and I know this is like kind of a cop out, but just because Six Flags works with them a lot, yeah, they have a 40 free spin already, but SNS Axis would be pretty cool to see there.
Mhm.
I think it would bring a different experience to the park. So I'd like to see that definitely. Um, but yeah, if of course I'm trying to think, they don't have a multi-launch coaster, do they? Off the top of my head,
Yeah,
oh wait, they do
yeah.
have the Impulse, yeah.
And then they
Um,
have Max Force for the intense launch.
I'd like to see. I mean, I know they haven't worked with them, but like a Vekoma launch coaster, I think would be kind of cool. But they haven't worked with them. Ooh, what do you think is the best park along Interstate 40? You're probably better with this than I am. I
Oh,
guess the
absolutely, Wonderland.
Wonderland. Is this the one in
Yep.
Texas or?
Yeah, it's basically Hopkins Land. It has, I think, 7 Hopkins prototypes. Texas Tornado is a bizarrely forceful ride. That park has a lot of crazy flat rides, a good dark ride. Um, yeah, I really like that park a lot.
I'll have to make sure to check it out whenever I'm in Texas. Not sure exactly where it is in terms of like what city it's closest to though.
It's in Amarillo, so it's roughly, I think, 5.5 hours west of over Texas. It's actually closer to Frontier City than like a major
Oh,
Texas park.
dang. Okay, yeah, that sounds like it's pretty far out of the way. Still pretty interesting. Um, let's see. Underrated flat rides. Uh,
Um, Mountain Monster and Pigeon Forge is really good because I haven't heard too many people talking about that one. Basically, it's like a sky coaster and a drop tower in one.
yeah, your number
Um,
one like flat ride, right?
yep, that ride's fantastic.
Ooh. Um, I actually I haven't been on that many. Um, I do enjoy. I haven't been on a Zamperla Hawk, but I've done an Arm Rides Typhoon, which is pretty similar. I think those rides, no one ever talks about them, so that'd probably be my pick. Just because I think they're fun. They have good hang time, and if they have a really long cycle, they can be pretty intense as well. So that'd be my pick. Um, any coaster trips in the plans, um, Mike?
Later this month, I'm going to Cedar Point and Six Flags Great America, just some of the Midwest parks. I'm holding out hope eventually I can visit Europe at some point, late in the summer or early in the fall. That's what I'm saving most of my vacation time for. I'm just waiting to see what happens there.
Nice. Um, for me, I'm not going to any parks out of state for 2021. I just don't think that's happening. For me, just because I'm hearing about like the understaffing and things of that sort. I'll probably hit up some California parks here and there. So not a bad place to be in the midst of all this. I would like to go to Florida in 2022 if possible, which I think could happen. So that might be in the plans. I guess we'll take a few more questions and move on to the quiz. Uh, the quiz link is in the chat and the code is up here. So if you haven't gone in yet, make sure to do that. Um, any coaster YouTubers that you have met? This is specifically for you, Mike.
Um, I've definitely met quite a few like at the parks. Usually, I've met them at like Great Adventures, the parks I frequent most because I'm most likely to see them a few times. I've probably met others without realizing I met them because if you watch like a review video, you might not see their face and know what they look like. So I've definitely met quite a few. There's too many to remember all their names.
Like, can you just like say a few names?
Yeah,
Or-
like for example, I met Thrills and Magic at American Dream, at Coaster Velocity American Dream because there are a lot of people there at Sandy's Blasting Bronco opening day.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like there was a ton of coverage for that ride when it opened. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Let's see. Favorite family coaster? Um, oh God, there's two of them that are close for me. I'll go first with this one. It's either between Manta at SeaWorld San Diego or Space Mountain at Disneyland California, which I probably like way more than I should, but those two would definitely be up there for me.
Yeah, it just depends where the cutoff is for a family coaster. Like,
That's
I
true.
almost think Space Mountain's a little too wild to be for family coaster. Like, if
That is
some of
true.
that scale, like I think Hagrid's would be a great family coaster, but I don't know if that has a little too much to it. Like Rorosaurus is another one I love because I don't know how Gravity Group made a 30-foot wood coaster that's aggressive as that, but that ride's fantastic.
Yeah, those are some. Yeah, Rorosaurus. I didn't hear too much about it until you started talking about it. But now that you've like seeing your review and everything, definitely a coaster I want to do.
Yeah, that one's
Um,
a cut above the other junior Gravity Groups.
and that's saying quite a bit because those are praised quite a lot. Um, and last two questions. Thoughts on Gene Staples taking over Fantasy Island? I don't know if that's 100% confirmed. I know that he was apparently like visiting recently. I don't know if that's for sure happening, but if it happens, that would be great because it'd be another park that'd be saved. I haven't been, so wouldn't know too much about it, but it would be nice to save Silver Comet. So yeah,
Yeah, considering the great job he did with Indiana Beach, I'd love to see him save more parks. I just hope he doesn't bite off more than he can chew and
yeah.
taking on a lot of parks in a short amount of time.
I think just like a few of them would probably work out. I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but yeah, you just hope he doesn't get too many. Um, and the last question we'll answer. I want to do one from someone who we haven't answered a question yet. Um, let's see. When will Pantheon open? Um, I have no clue. I'm a little more optimistic about its opening this year than the other SeaWorld coasters, but I have legitimately no idea. And I know less about the situation there than I do about like Iron Gwazi. I've heard a lot of things about Iron Gwazi, and just hearing what I've heard, I don't think it's opening this Iron Gwazi. I don't think it's opening this year, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the rumor I've heard is they're all going to be held back till next year, which would sort of make sense how Icebreaker had the employee testing, seemed to be running fine, testing routinely. Then all of a sudden it just went quiet. So it seems like there must have been a higher up decision where you're not open this ride, wait till next year. Um,
Yeah, that
I mean,
probably makes sense. Oh wait, you sorry.
like one of the reasons would be they already marketed the ride in 2020 to sell season passes. They could get away with doing it again in 2021. Now they have an excuse where they can say, oops, due to COVID, we can't open it this year, so they can market the ride again for 2022. Obviously, it doesn't look good from a customer satisfaction standpoint, but I think they're banking on people want to ride the ride so much that people will still buy a season pass to go do it.
Yeah, that's probably like I guess this year, because last year was because of COVID, this year I guess they could say understaffing and also COVID, I guess if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Because my
We have to keep in mind,
concern
like Busch Gardens Williamsburg, for example, they had to extend their season passes a year. So basically, you have the 2020 sales. They're not getting that. Those people already paid for their passes. So next year is the first year they can get a new, year of annual passes.
Yeah. So that probably makes sense. That I guess is probably the route that they'll take, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just don't like the lack of transparency because they're still heavily promoting the rides when you go to the park. Like they have a giant sign, Iron Gwazi, anticipated 2021, marketing and all their sales. And if they really are delaying until next year, that's not really it's not really transparent to the customer. Whereas Six Flags, they were open, they delayed several rides in 2022 and said that up front.
Yeah, I I think throughout this whole thing, it's just kind of like I do wish that SeaWorld in general would actually say what's going on, like because Six Flags has done it, Cedar Fair has done it in terms of like not necessarily rides, but like with the staffing issues. Six Flags with the rides, they've been saying that. So yeah. Next, I guess. All right, we're gonna start the quiz now, if that's all right with you, Mike.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get that up here on screen. So give me a second. But we're gonna be starting right now. If you want to join, still, link is in the chat and also in the description. And the code is on the bar still, so that's gonna be staying. But we're gonna be starting right now. So ready, set, go. And so the first question is, how many coasters currently operate at Canobles? That is the first question. How many roller coasters currently operate at Canobles? I'm trying to think if there might be one that is kind of debated, but actually,
So I guess is this a trick question where the number of rides that they have open this year, or
no. I guess I meant in general, but yeah.
okay?
Yeah, no, that wasn't a trick question. No, it was 6 coasters, so yeah. Next question is, Canobie Corkscrew originally opened in which state? You probably know this, Mike. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure.
It's in the queue line for the ride.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
nice. Well, I guess anyone who's ridden it would know then. And the correct answer is Illinois. Operated at Old Chicago, I believe was the name of the park. Next question is, which coaster is faster, Incredible Hulk or Kumba? Just decided to throw in these questions more recently in terms of which coaster is faster. So, between the 2 Florida coasters, which one is faster? The correct answer is Incredible Hulk, which hits a top speed of 67 miles per hour, while Kumba is 60 miles per hour. So, pretty decent size difference there. And the second question is, which coaster is faster between Ravine Flyer 2 and West Coast Racers? This one's definitely probably more difficult than the last one. And the correct answer is Ravine Flyer 2, which hits a top speed of 57 miles per hour compared to West Coast Racers 55 miles per hour, but pretty close there. And did I really do 3 of these? I made this quiz a while back. I do it a good bit before the stream, so I think I should have only done 2 of those, but I guess it is what it is. But the next question is, which coaster is faster between Smiler and Cuckoo Lane? And the correct answer is Cuckoo Lane, which reaches a top speed of 56 miles per hour compared to Smiler's 52.8. Next question is, what year did Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Disneyland, California open? And there was something I was going to say. Oh, I don't know if I was pronouncing the Tato Park wooden coaster correctly. Cuckoo Lane, I think that's how it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different ways how it's said. I'm not quite sure.
Correct answer for this one is 1979. And hey, you're in the lead, Mike. First drop in second place. Truly's, sorry if I'm butchering, is actually, I guess, also tied. They're in third, followed by Zero G Coasters, Andrew, and JB Thrills. Next question is, how many inversions does Monster at Gronaland have? And the correct answer is 3 inversions. It features 2 Zero G rolls and a corkscrew. I'm not sure if people consider there is one element on it that might be debated. I'm not sure, that Junior Immelman thing, but that's what they call it, but it's not an actual inversion. So
I find it interesting people don't count the Junior Immelman, but they'll count like those severe overbank turns.
yeah, that is kind of interesting now that you think about it. That might have not been the best question to ask then. But yeah, this next one was, how tall is Zadra? And the correct answer was 206 feet. Wait, I think. I didn't look at it right when it happened. Next question is, what is the name of this coaster, this specific one in the picture? This coaster is actually Montaña Suiza, which is actually technically the oldest operating steel coaster in the world. It opened in 1928 and operates in Spain. So that's that. Next question is, who manufactured Diving Coaster Vanish? This is the clickbait coaster used in a lot of thumbnails, just all over. So, but who manufactured this ride? And you've done this one, yes? Or
Oh, I'll have a good story about this ride later.
all right. And the correct answer is Senyo Kogyo was the manufacturer behind this coaster. So that's the correct answer. Next question is, what was the original name of Michigan's Adventure? And this one, yeah, this is I think this quiz actually, may have made it a little too difficult, but we'll see. Correct answer is Deer Park. And I actually changed some of these questions, but that is the correct answer for this one. The explanations, I guess, weren't changed. And not the last, I read somehow 12 is 15. Next question is, what year did Cyclone at Luna Park open? The Coney Island Cyclone, for those who don't know. And the correct answer is 1927, which most of you got right. So June 26th of 1927. Canobie Coaster is still in the lead with Andrew and Lindsay trailing right behind. Next question is, how long is Top Thrill Dragster in track length? So how long is it? And the correct answer is 2,800 feet. It is 2,800 feet long. The other numbers, if you were wondering, are actually from the other accelerator coasters. That's where I got them from. So because they're pretty random. So, yeah. Next question is, how many riders can be seated per train on Fury 325 at Carowinds? So basically follow this. Yeah, pretty much it's as the question states. Correct answer is 32 riders per train. I guess like 16. No, wait, is it? Now I'm forgetting how the rows are situated. But
Yeah,
I do
it's
remember
8 and 4.
8 and 4. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, that's the number of riders that can be on Fury 325. The last question is, at which park did Jungle Storm operate at before it closed? Correct answer is Chaka Zulu Indoor Theme Park. I may have butchered that. It operated there from 2001 to 2018. Congratulations, Mike. You got first. In second place, we have Andrew with 44 points. And in third place, we have Zero G Coasters with 43 points. Actually tied with Lindsay, who also got 43 points. Very closely followed by Joy. Thank you all to everyone who participated. And that was the quiz. So next we'll move on to the YouTube shoutouts, which is basically where I recognize channels that are either close to a milestone or have reached them, or just ones I just want to recognize in general. And so with that being said, the first channel I want to shout out is Cedar Flags, who recently has reached 6,000 subscribers, a channel I definitely need to watch more of, but pretty consistent in uploading. And definitely a channel I would recommend. I'm going to put all the channel links in the chat, but they're also in the description. So if you want to check them out later, you can do that. And I guess after I say these, if you have anything you want to say about the channel, you can say afterwards, or I guess however you want to do it.
Yeah, Cedar Flags is usually pretty good about getting news videos up pretty quickly too.
Yeah. And that I tried to do that in my earlier days. That is not something that is easy to do. So props to him for doing that. Next channel I have is a previous guest. Coast Tunes has recently reached 8,000 subscribers. He's been growing like crazy. Great channel in general. And he recently did a Florida Parks ranked video. It was really good. Had a huge collaboration with it. Would definitely recommend. Really good stuff on his channel. Make sure to check him out if you haven't already.
And I also like how he's not afraid to share his opinions, even if he knows he's going to get a lot of criticism for it, like how he thinks about Cheetah Hunt.
Yeah, I like that. That's definitely another really good thing about him and his channel. Next channel we have is Coaster Dash. He consistently uploads, as I said, but he's basically one of the best channels when it comes to countdowns. He just he's able to do them a lot. He also has great footage and
non-copyright too.
Wait, say that again.
Non-copyright footage.
Oh yeah, non-copyright footage. Yeah, that's also a big deal. Yeah, he's got a lot of great footage that is non-copyright. Great channel, and another California coaster enthusiast. So, like to see that. Next channel we have is Theme Park Hunting, another previous guest. Great channel. Mostly focuses at this point, it seems like, more on Florida like rides and coasters. I know he just released a Velocicoaster video very shortly before I did the stream. Couldn't check it out, but he's got a great channel as well. And he also has the On the Hunt podcast, which he does with Christian from Theme Park Horizon. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure to check it out. And his channel, of course. So, yeah.
Yeah, he was good for the Velocicoaster coverage, before and after it opened.
Yeah, he's done so many videos on it. I mean, I can understand why. I sort of make fun of him for it a little bit, but no, he's done a really good job with it. The next channel we have is Extreme Thrills, who has also recently reached, has recently reached 10,000 subscribers. Another channel that's very consistent in uploading, does countdowns, reviews, and like I said, very consistent in uploading. And another channel I definitely need to check out more of. But great channel. I'd love to have him on here, Derek on here at some point. But yeah, definitely make sure to check him out if you haven't already.
Yep, I know he's just a panelist at Keys of the Kingdom this past weekend.
Oh yeah, I saw that on his Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Happy that he was able to do that. Next channel I have is Parks Bros. He has recently reached 10,000 subscribers as well. One of my personal favorite channels, just because sort of we're both from California, so that is something. But he's also very good with construction updates. He does live streams. It seems like the amount he does it kind of varies, but I like tuning into his streams whenever he does them. He's working very hard on a new video series, which it's going to be very high quality. I think it's going to be having to do with sort of like the history of some of the coasters. Not
to mention great in-depth reviews too.
Oh yeah, his in-depth reviews also, yeah, they're really good. Can't forget about that. He's got just a lot of great content, so make sure to check him out if you haven't already. Next channel we have is Western New York Coasters, another channel that very consistent in uploading. Another previous guest of Coaster Time, and I think he's also pretty good with new stuff as well. Also does vlogs, so yeah. Like I said, another great channel to check out for sure.
Yeah, it was good to see the coverage of Darien Lake because that's a park I want to get back to. But after seeing what their opening day looked like, it gave me a lot of appreciation for how organized Six Flags New England was, having every single ride open on opening day except Blizzard River, which was just closed due to weather.
Dang, I didn't hear too much. Oh wait, actually no, never mind. Yes, I did hear about Darien Lake. So, yeah, that didn't sound great. Next channel we have is Coaster College. Actually is near 75,000 subs. Hasn't uploaded in a good while, but and I know he doesn't do it anymore, but his Debunked series was really good. And also when he was doing Flat Ride of the Week, those were really good series. And obviously a bigger channel of the ones I'm mentioning. Really good, high quality content. And I know he's been busy with Cedar Point and all that, but another channel I would recommend.
And he has the insight of having worked at a park where that's just what makes Flat Ride of the Week so good, because he knows how some of those rides operates from personal experience or a friend.
Yeah, like you said, a really cool thing about him and his channel. Next channel I have is Theme Park Horizons. He is near 4,000 subscribers. As I mentioned, co-host of On the Hunt podcast, and his channel is also great. He recently did a video about like his idea of what a SpongeBob land would look like inside of Universal Orlando. I really liked it, really enjoyed it. Really good video. Make sure to check it out. The thumbnail's amazing. Yeah, Theme Park Horizons, really good channel. So make sure to check him out.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many of his videos, but the one I've seen was the Mission Ferrari video from a while back, just because I'm intrigued what's going on with that ride at any given time.
Yeah, that was also
opening this year for the past like 6 years.
I've heard that it is actually supposed to open this year, but I mean, that's kind of been the case, it seems like, for, like you said, the past like almost 6 years, it seems like. I don't know if it's been that long, but it's been a while. So Mike, you go ahead with this one because I guess you wanted to bring it up, so, and I haven't seen his channel, but yeah.
David Hanner has some really good backstage footage from parks or views that you typically don't get. For example, he recently made a video of, if you've ever been to Kennywood and you've been on Fam's Revenge, you know it goes all the way down the ravine. Well, there's actually a bike path down there. And he recently, went out there on a bike and got all the shots down there, which is really cool to see Phantom from the bottom of the drop. Because if you've ever looked into doing it, you basically have to like park, I think it's like 2 miles from the park. And if you don't have a bike, that's a huge time commitment to get down there.
Yeah, I just subscribed to him, like, as you mentioned him, because I wasn't subscribed. I'm going to have to check out his stuff, but definitely interested to see all that footage, because that's going to be, I mean, it's probably things I haven't seen before. So make sure to check
He also
him out.
has like the backstage of the Boss at Six Flags St. Louis, another coaster you don't typically see that view of.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm going to have to check out his stuff. Like I said, all the links to these channels are in the description, and I'm also putting them in the chat right now. But if you want to check them out later, they're in the description. And the last channel I have, this is a newer channel. Not even necessarily a coaster channel, but he's only done one video, and it was sort of a Cedar Point and Kings Island vlog. But make sure to check out Anthony Schwartz's channel. If you don't know who this is, Anthony Schwartz is the Cleveland Browns 3rd round wide receiver they just drafted this year. He just began doing his channel. He's actually a coaster enthusiast. Says so on his Twitter like bio thing. So if you haven't checked him out, make sure to. Don't know what his content is going to be like from here on out, but new channel, and seems to be something that could be interesting. So got to give a shout out there. And that's all the channels. Obviously, that was quite a bit. But yeah, very happy for these guys reaching their milestones or getting very close. So yeah. Next, we'll move on to the second Q&A segment. So you guys can ask us, once again, questions that maybe we didn't get to earlier, or any new questions that have come about. So that'll be that. Yeah. Oh, JB Thrills also hit 1K. I don't have the link on me, but if you want to check him out, make sure to do that. You're another channel I need to watch more of. I haven't had the chance to see that much of your content, but congratulations on hitting 1K. That's awesome. I didn't see that, but yeah. Make sure to check him out if you haven't already. Let's see. Ooh, this is interesting. I'll see if I can try to. So this might be more for you, Mike. But basically, I guess Chaos has a friend who is, I guess, scared of V2. Maybe it's because it's inverted or something, because it sounds like he's able to ride everything else.
I guess the question would be to figure out what the fear is. Is it the fear being launched over the edge? Is it the fear of going backwards? Or is it the fear, being below the track? Because if it's below the track, you have Batman in the same park. If it's being launched off the edge, I just say don't ride in the very front row. If it's a launch, I guess that's the tamer of the two launches at Great America, which is crazy to think a 70-mile-per-hour launch is the tamer one. But okay, so it's the launch that's scary. I mean, you can accelerate pretty quickly in a car too. I just say if they're scared of the launch, just don't ride in the front row so you don't feel the wind in your face the first time. But I mean, they've gone faster in rides like Raging Bull.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you, like, maybe use the car example or something like that just because. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. Um, why will Iron Gwazi not open? I think we kind of went into, like, some of this stuff already.
Yeah, I think it's the same as Pantheon.
Yeah, I've heard some reasons. I'm not gonna say because I don't know if they've actually, if it's like actually been put out there, but we'll see what happens is all I'll say about that. This is for you. Tips for editing faster, like pumping out videos.
So one thing that helps is just being organized. So any like photos and videos I take from a park, I have it organized in a folder by park, by year, and by name. So if I, for example, go on my computer and type in, for example, Whizzer, all my photos and videos of Whizzer will pop up. So you can easily pull those in, find what you need really quickly. Because as long as you have the media there, I can get a video done pretty quickly. It's finding the media that can take a while, which is why some of those countdown lists where I have to, search out footage, get permission to use it, put it in, that can take a lot longer. Not to mention I have to put like the annotation in. It's just a bunch of little things that can slow you down.
Yeah, getting the footage for videos is always, at least for me, if I'm doing something like Countdown or like the series I was working on, getting the footage is pretty difficult because you have to wait to get permission because it generally takes like a few days, so or maybe even longer. So yeah, but yeah, no, that makes sense. Like having the media there. There's a question from Joy. I'll let you determine if you want to answer it or not.
That's fine. The
alrighty.
answer is I don't know yet, probably next year, but we were just waiting until we knew what was going on with COVID because for example, one of my friends had to postpone his wedding 3 times. We did not want to have that happen to us, and we want the wedding we always envisioned.
All right, so there's your answer, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Do you have future plans to go to Asia sometime?
Not immediately, but I will be going back to Asia at some point. I want to go to South Korea for the parks over there at some point, and then my company works with some vendors in China, so it's likely I'll have to go there at some point for work. And while I'm there, I'm going to hit a few parks as well.
I don't have any plans to go there right now. Japan seems like it's pretty likely I'll be able to get there at some point. There's reasons outside of coasters that I would have to going there. And I would like to go to the other places. I think it's just a matter of time. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but I think I'll get out there. It'll just take some time. So yeah. Let's see. What type of coaster does SeaWorld Orlando need? And I guess Icebreaker we are not able to use for this. What could they use?
I mean, they're pretty well covered in the thrill coaster department with Kraken, Mako, and Manta. And Icebreaker looks like it could be a little more extreme than anticipated. Just like a junior gravity group wood coaster would work well for that park. Just they need something to bridge the gap between Super Grover's Derby, and then their Tamus coaster is probably Icebreaker. Because I know Journey to Atlantis can be considered a coaster, but most people won't consider that one a coaster.
Yeah.
Or even something like Fire Chaser Express would work well for them.
Probably something more along the lines of Fire Chaser, because for whatever reason, it just seems like wooden coasters don't hold up. I mean, I guess probably because of the humidity and everything. Wooden coasters don't seem to hold up the best out there in Florida, just seeing how many have kind of come and went.
Well, if you look at the new ones all have the steel support structure.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, probably, I think something like you said, like a Gersar family would probably be good. if they had to go with something more thrilling, I guess Icebreaker would be their first launch coaster. So maybe if they could do something maybe a little more extreme, perhaps, like with inversions. So something like a Vekoma launch that also seems to be a cop out. That'd be kind of cool. I think I already said that once for Great America, but that or something that's because they have Manta, but something that would be like kind of under the track or something. Maybe like especially because in the Orlando area, there's not a thrilling invert anymore. Maybe like a B&M invert or a Vekoma suspended throwing coaster. That could be something. I don't know, just an idea.
Or even a wing coaster.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's been kind of rumored too. I guess we'll see if the surf coaster thing happens. That might be sort of the answer, but we don't even know what it is. But yeah, and we'll see if it even happens at this point. Let's see. This is for you. Any news on your best Canadian coasters video?
That video already came out 2 months ago, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, the ranking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that already came out. I remember seeing it. So, I guess there's your answer. Let's see. What else? Any other questions we have? Do you think X2 is truly extreme? I mean...
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most intense coasters in not only the country, but the world. And as crazy as that one is, then there's Ejinaika and Fuji-Q, which is even nuttier.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess the question was for you, but yeah, for me, yeah, I'd say it's extreme. It's very different from anything else I've ridden. It's the most intense coaster. Maybe not from a forces standpoint, but just, I guess, in general that I've ridden, so I'd say so. Let's see. And, what type of coaster do we think over Texas needs? Man.
That's another park that has a pretty well-rounded coaster lineup. I mean, that would be a good one to throw in one of those access coasters because it would be a lot different than what they currently offer. I could see them getting a Raptor too, just not the same. Well, actually, they don't even care if Fiesta Texas at the same level that they build it there anyway. But that'd be another one to get one of those big Raptors too.
Yeah, I feel like they don't have, if I'm correct, they don't really have a airtime focused coaster there. I'm trying to think of one.
New Texas Giant.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess that would fill that gap. Yeah, I think like an Axis, as you said, would make sense. Or a Raptor, and like you said, they don't care if it's the same one. So I guess those would be solid options there. But yeah. Out of Wild Waves, Enchanted Forest, and Oaks Park, which one do you like the most?
Can I cheat and say the Washington State Fair is better than any of those three parks?
Yes, you can.
Probably of those three, I honestly like Enchanted Forest best just because it's such a quirky park and has a cute atmosphere. I wish the area had a major park. Because again, I think the best thing up there is probably the Washington State Fair, or if you cross the border, PNE Playland, but that's exclusively for coaster. The rest of that park is just eh.
Yeah, it seems like you would. I'm surprised that. I mean, it kind of, I guess, probably because of the weather-ish, but the fact that Portland and Seattle don't have a bigger park is kind of surprising, at least to me. And I have a cousin who lives in Portland, so not a coaster enthusiast, but he has done Oaks Park, so that's interesting. Do you think we will ever see another Intamin spinning coaster like Tornado?
It's possible. Intamin says yes to anything if people are willing to pay for it. I mean, that ride's really compact, so I suspect if we might not see one exactly like that, because I feel like Tornado, because if I remember correctly, is a 54-inch height requirement, and considering how big the ride is, it's tiny. It looks like a family ride with a high height limit. It has one really intense part, and the rest of the ride isn't too crazy. So it's kind of an awkward ride. I'd love to see Intamin build a large-scale spinning coaster that's intense. But if they build another spinner of that size, I feel like they'd try to make it more family related because that's really what that ride probably should have been.
Interesting. I know that there's the in Nickelodeon universe that's being built in.
The China one?
Yeah. I know that Intamin is doing a spinning coaster there. Or at least it seemed like that was who they figured was going to do it. And we saw a picture of the train. I don't know. I think we might have the layout for that. And if I remember correctly, if we do, it's not anything too crazy. But I don't know. That was something that's just came in my mind. I don't know if that.
But then again, everyone thought Tornado was going to be tame. Then everyone was asking the question, why are there 2 chain lifts? And then they see it test, it's like, oh, it's basically a launch.
Oh man, I wasn't around. I wasn't in the community when that thing was being built, so that's interesting to hear about.
Because it was announced, everyone's like, why does this ride have a 54-inch height limit? Why does it have 2 chain lifts? And that's like, oh, it has a launch uphill.
That's pretty crazy. That's crazy. Man, it's rides like that I'm just like, I wish I would have been, I could have like seen it all happen, where like the reactions to this stuff and everything, because that'd be pretty interesting. Let's see. Do you think Iron Gwazi will be better than Velocicoaster?
No, because Velocicoaster's open.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't. I mean, yes, I've done Intamin Blitz coasters, but Velocicoaster I feel like is different, and then Iron Gwazi is actually pretty different from the RMCs I've ridden. So I'm not sure. I'll have to ride them both for myself to decide which. Hopefully will happen next year if Iron Gwazi actually opens, but we'll see.
Hopefully.
It better be open by like May of next year. Let's see what else. Actually, we'll do one more. Is Bakken the European Knobles, or is Knobles the American Bakken? I haven't been either, but yeah, you can answer that one.
I can see Bakken definitely has a feel in terms of how it's open. You can either do a wristband or pay per ride. In terms of the rides, I don't quite think it's a perfect comparison because Bakken doesn't really have that signature or elite ride. Yeah, I did like Bakken though. It's just a very interesting park.
Yeah, it seems interesting, and it's, I mean, I guess it is the oldest one out there still, so for whatever that's worth. Next, we're going to be switching it around in terms of questions. So instead of answering your guys' questions, these are questions for you, the viewers. So first question is, and we can also answer these quickly while you guys are putting your answers in the chat. But what is your favorite indoor coaster? I know you did a ranking of this, so...
So I guess it depends if you want to count the ones that are just in an indoor park that aren't really exactly like indoors. So if that's the case,
that can count.
Mindbender, Galaxyland, very intense ride. I love how close it comes to the roof. The positive G's in that ride are insane.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. Mine is Space Mountain because I haven't done too many, but also I really enjoy it. So Space Mountain at Disneyland, I should specify, California. So yeah, so those are our answers. Let's see what you guys got. Revenge, Flight of Fear. I just saw that. That seems like, I don't know what your thoughts are on that one. I haven't ridden it.
The one I don't like the mid course, how it slows you down. So I actually like that layout better when it's outside because the second half's a lot more dizzying when you don't slow down. But it's a solid ride, especially if you're at a park like Kings Island where it seems to get hit with an afternoon thunderstorm every day. You have something to retreat in and go ride.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing about it. It seems cool that a ride like that would be indoors. And then Revenge of the Mummy at, I know this is the Florida version, back right seat. I know you rave about this thing, so Christian, he really likes Revenge of the Mummy in the back right. I haven't done the Orlando version, but I'm excited to do it, so yeah. Have you, I imagine you've ridden this, yeah?
Yeah, I slightly prefer the Florida one to the California one. I think the California one has better theming, but the
really?
Florida one's the more intense ride.
Huh, interesting. I assume the Florida one had the best of both worlds, but maybe not. Uh,
The California has that wonderful ending, but the rest of the ride is themed better.
yeah, the ending leaves a lot to be desired. Exterminator. Oh wait, Kennywood. Yeah, haven't done that one, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, that one's good if you can get the car to spin. I also don't like to ride that one too often just because of how long the line is. When I look
Ooh,
at it and think I could ride Phantom about 6 times in the same time to ride Exterminator once, Exterminator loses out.
dang. I didn't know that the lines were that bad, but I guess I can see
If you don't hit
why.
it in the first hour, you're gonna be waiting a while for that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. And is the queue indoors for that mostly, or
Uh, if the ride is absolutely mobbed, half the queue's outdoors, half the queue's indoors.
oof,
If the queue starts indoors and the whole thing's filled, it's an hour wait. If you see it outside, just don't even bother.
dang, good to know. Another Revenge of the Mummy. I assume it's either the California or Florida version. Space Mountain. We got another Space Mountain.
Mhm.
Great ride.
Yeah, but I like the Magic Kingdom one more. It's a little rougher, but I like how that one focuses on airtime.
Yeah, I want to ride that one for sure. Um, Vogel Rock. I don't remember this one off the top of my head. I don't
That's
know
the
what.
updeling one.
Oh,
And the giant
yeah.
bird.
The giant bird at the entrance. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know anything about the coaster, but other than it has a big bird at the entrance, but that's cool.
That one's okay.
Let's see. Um, oh, Dark Knight. So I don't know which one, but I guess they're all kind of the same. So,
I'm
Dark
a
Knight,
little sore towards that ride considering New England was supposed to get that. Then the park forgot to file the right permits.
and then Mexico got it.
Yep. Instead, we got the outdoor Gotham City Gauntlet Escape from Arkham Asylum. Wicked long name.
Yep. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Revenge of the Mummy at the one in Singapore. I don't know what the differences are. I assume
I
it's
think
closer
that's
to
the
the Florida
Florida one.
version. Yeah. And then Space Fantasy. That ride looks. I haven't seen a POV, but I've heard that it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I could have ridden that when the spinning was on. When I was there a few years ago, they were doing, I think it was like a Final Fantasy overlay, so they disabled the spinning. Because if they had the spinning on with all the effects, that ride looked like it might, that plays really highly for me.
Yeah, it seems like they're always like overlaying it with something or another. It's just
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Comet Express at Latte World. That's another one I don't hardly know anything about. I think it's an Intamin coaster. Yes, I don't.
Yeah, it's that, like, I think it's a spinning one with a controlled spin. It's like they're called their twist and
Oh,
turn model.
huh. Interesting. And that's one you haven't done because you haven't been in South Korea, right?
Correct.
Well, we're getting a lot of answers. Skull Mountain. That one's pretty legendary.
Yep, in the
Haven't
back
ridden it
row.
in the back row. Oh yeah, because yeah.
Well, the best is if you ride Skull Mountain during holiday in the park when the ride almost valleys, because they don't spend money to heat the building.
Oh man, that's pretty crazy. Another Space Mountain from California. Uh, Eurosat Can, or however you
Yeah, I
pronounce
rode
it.
the old one. The old one was good up front, but it got really shaky towards the back. So I'm
Ooh,
hoping the retrack made it good in all rows now.
yeah, that's one I've heard. I haven't heard about it in a while. I guess it's probably because it was redone recently, but um, yeah. Let's see. Uh, okay, so yeah, the one in Singapore is like the one in Florida, basically. It seems like, or it's at least very similar from uh, Christian's comment. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the next question. This is not coaster related. I understand that you're a Star Wars fan as well. But favorite Star Wars movie and why? And as you guys are putting your answers in the chat, what's yours?
And this is when I'll get canceled. My favorite Star Wars movie is Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Oh
I
boy.
know they completely ripped off Episode 4, but it has better special effects, and I enjoy watching the movie more. I know it, like I said, I know I shouldn't like that one best, but it's the one I do like best. As
Oh,
long as
wow.
no one in the chat says Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will. My favorite is Empire Strikes Back. The funny thing is it had actually been a while until I watched the original trilogy, which I watched a few months back. Again, Empire Strikes Back was my favorite. You just have so many iconic scenes in there, and of course the duel with Luke and Vader. I just really like it. I I mean, there's a lot I could say, but it would take up too much time. But that is my favorite, and I'm sure there's gonna be other people who agree. Rogue One, yeah, I've heard some people really like it. I mean, I definitely like the last portion of it. I'll say that. That's really good, and it's pretty good. And I don't know what you think about it, but
Yeah, the last scene in that one's spectacular.
yeah. Revenge of the Sith, it has the most memes. That is true. But at least it is cool to kind of see everything play out, like Order 66 and Anakin's
Yeah, all the
fall to
lightsaber
the
duels in
dark
that one are
side.
great.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Not a fan of Star Wars. Not a fan of Star Wars. That's totally fine. Not everyone is. So that's totally cool. Force Awakens is a god tier film. Hey, at least you have someone who agrees with you. That's good. I guess out of the sequel trilogy, I guess yeah, it's my favorite. I didn't really love the sequel trilogy, but I guess out of the three, that's definitely the one I would pick. Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and Phantom Menace. So we did get Phantom Menace. I'm a little surprised with that.
I mean, that one has the best lightsaber duel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's in my opinion the best, but I mean, it is pretty good. So I can see that. Let's
I don't
see.
think I've seen any Last Jedi or not Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones mentioned.
Yeah, I haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, or yeah. Actually, I haven't
No,
seen the
there
original.
was a Rise of Skywalker
Oh,
in
okay,
there.
there is. Oh, yeah,
There's
there
a two
is.
in a row.
Okay. Yep. Um, let's see what else there is.
I'd be curious how people like the movies versus Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, because some people would say like Mandalorian's their favorite. If I had to pick piece of media, I'd say Clone Wars is my favorite, but because I grew up with that and watched the terrible movie in theaters, so I have a connection there. The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special from 2020. I saw that. I thought it was all right. It was kind of fun.
Actually, I don't think there's been a Return of the Jedi either.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're right. 2 Rise of Skywalkers were in a row. The throne room in Last Jedi is amazing. I mean, I can see why people think that. There's definitely really good things about it. So
In the face.
yeah. But I guess what else is there? Yeah, Mandalorian and Clone Wars. Yeah, those are definitely up there. I think those would actually be my top 2 if I actually included them. Clone Wars and Mandalorian would be up there. I haven't seen Rebels, and I'm not gonna see the Resistance show or whatever it is that they release. I haven't seen any bit of it, and I don't plan to. So, yeah. Let's see. I think that's all the answers, unless I missed any. So we'll move on to the last question, which is one I've asked before, but it's always kind of a good one to go back to especially with new viewers. But rarest coaster credit. So, Mike, you probably have a few contenders, but if you can think of one off the top of your head.
So, I out of curiosity looked on coastercount.com to see which of the ones I had that was the rarest. And it turns out it's the Bat Chaser Indiana Caverns. Apparently, I'm one of only 3 to 5 riders who've ridden it, of enthusiasts.
Oh, wow.
And I'm actually surprised because it's halfway between Kentucky Kingdom and Holiday World.
Huh.
You pass it on the highway.
Wait, does this thing still exist? What's it called?
Bat Chaser. It opened, I think, 2 years ago.
Oh, what the?
It's I don't think a lot of people count it as a coaster. It's a zip line coaster.
Oh,
So
okay, that makes sense.
um, it feels like a suspended coaster, like one of those old Karipo ones, because you're basically in the zip line harness, but it has a drop, it has a helix, swing goes around while you're swinging. But of conventional coasters, it's either some of the portable ones at some of the Northeast Carnival providers or Twisted Timbers at Land of Make Believe.
Nice. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I remember last year when it opened. I think I was beginning my streams, and that was like a news thing, and I think we were making fun of the name just because, but that's a pretty cool one. Mine would probably be actually. I'll get back to that. We're getting some answers here. Uh, Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. That's a pretty commonly ridden one, so. Uh, don't know about that one. Avalanche at Timber Falls in Wisconsin Dells. It's I mean I never got to ride it. Did you get to ride it? Avalanche?
No, I didn't go to the
Dang.
Dells until that ride was gone.
That's unfortunate. I heard good things about that ride. Well, actually mixed things, but mostly good things.
I heard
Um
good things until it beat itself up in the end.
yeah. Yeah, but that's a pretty cool one. Um Oh my god, so Dark Ride and Big Air. Big Air I know is that like weird
Spinning half pipe thing that doesn't spin sometimes, apparently.
yeah. Those are pretty unique, I'd say. Yeah, those are pretty out there. I was gonna say mine is probably Minor Mike at Adventure Dome, which is sad, but because it's no longer out there. But I also did Joker at Six Flags Mexico when it was at Discovery Kingdom as Pandemonium. So I have credits at both parks, which is probably pretty rare, even though by itself it's probably not that rare of a credit. Fiesta Express at Austin's Park and Pizza. I think that just opened recently, so that definitely makes sense.
No, it's the spinning one that opened recently. Fiesta
Okay.
Express is the one I shamelessly rode last fall.
Nice. Phaethon at Gyeongju World. Yeah, that one, compared to most of the inverts, that's definitely a hard one to get to, it seems like. Um, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. I mean,
It breaks
uh,
down a lot.
it is down quite a bit. Sometimes it has even valleyed at some points. So,
Yeah, I missed
uh,
it my last trip because it was, I think, 13-mile-per-hour ground winds, and the ride was closed due to wind.
oof. So I guess in a way it makes sense. Um, this year Stamford Bridge is doing Log Roller Coaster at Yellowstone just because it's an obscure credit. I don't even know that I've ever heard of it.
I think that's an
Um,
SBFE, it's a spinner.
yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, that one's pretty rare. Um, let's see. Let's see. Jungle Twist. This is a fair coaster. It's this like Zamperla, I think, spinning thing. It's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny ride. But yeah, it's a pretty rare credit probably just because I don't know if it's anywhere outside of the Hawaiian Fair circuit. I'm not sure exactly if it is. Have you by any chance done that thing or no?
Never
Yeah,
been
I
to
bet.
Hawaii.
Yeah. It is Pteranodon Flyers. Yeah, because of the height requirement. That's definitely an elusive one. Primeval Whirl. Now that it's closed, that would probably be one at this point. Hoot and Holler. That's at Darien Lake, I believe.
Yeah, it's one of those kiddie coasters where they have like the strict 54-inch height limit.
Ooh. Okay, that
The
makes
one, the
sense.
Kiddie Coaster Lake compounds is similar, but they do have an ace event every year where they'll let the acers ride it.
Dang.
I
I
got that one
wish
as a kid, so I got it legitimately.
one kiddie coaster that's gonna haunt me is Magic Flyer because I never went when I was short enough to ride it. So yeah. Um, don't count carnival coasters as credits, but RC48 is probably your rarest. I've heard of it, but I don't know exactly
Is
what
that the
it
Maurice
is.
Piers one that didn't last long?
That might be. I don't know exactly what it is. Tornado at M&D's. Oh yeah, that thing. That looked horrible. Although I feel like toward like when it was announced to close, people were giving it more praise. But although I guess it is being relocated somewhere else, so that's
I think
interesting.
the French Fair circuit.
Were you able to do this one at any point or no?
No, that wasn't a park on my radar overseas.
Yeah, where is it at? Like where is I don't even know where M&D's is, like
I think
Scotland
that
or
was
something?
Scotland, but now it's somewhere in the French Fair circuit.
Yeah. That would be pretty far away then. Um Steel Curtain, at this point in time it's pretty rare because it was closed so much in 2019. Didn't open last year at all, I believe, and just reopened. So
At least I
what
finally rode that one last week after seeing it close in the prior 3 visits.
yeah, that's good. And now Wooden Lightning Rod. Yeah, rest in peace. Um, let's see. The
Yeah, the
Wooden
Ride
Kitty.
Playland Kitty Coaster is another hard one to get.
Oh yeah, isn't that like one of the older wooden coasters, like just in general? But
Yeah. And they did the same thing in an Ace event. Adults can ride it.
dang. But yeah, those are pretty crazy. Um, I think that's all the answers. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next segment, which is our countdown we'll be doing, which will be the top 10 defunct coasters we would go back and ride. By any chance, were you able to come up with 10 of them beforehand?
Yep.
Or okay, you were. And also, just out of curiosity, are these coasters that you were not able to ride, or some of these ones that you have? I'm just curious.
I listed 10 that I never rode in the iteration listed here, or I just didn't ride, period.
Okay.
There are 2 that I rode previously that I would want to re-ride, but I focused on ones I hadn't been on.
Alrighty. Good to know. So that's what we're gonna go into. So I guess I'll go first. These are not exactly in really any, like, the order for mine isn't that serious. So, but anyways, I'll go into mine. This one's probably the most obscure one out of all of these. My number 10 is Giant Skyrocket at Venice Park. This is basically that really insane. If you haven't seen pictures of it, look it up.
All the camelbacks.
The camel, yeah, like the airtime hills were insanely sharp. The first drop looked like it was almost vertical from the pictures, which I don't even know how that was possible. Um, and it was supposedly over 6,000 feet long. Just was a crazy ride. I had to put one of these older wooden coasters on here. So this is the one I went with just because it looked so insane. Like I said, the order doesn't matter so much, but just because of, I guess in the sense that I did put it in order just because there were a few fatalities on it, it kind of lowered it for me. So Giant Skyrocket at number 10. What's yours?
Do you want me to go from, I guess, the least interested in the
Yeah,
most?
least to most is basically how
Okay. I'll start
Yeah.
with Flyer Comet at Whalen Park, just because it was a Massachusetts amusement park that closed before I could get there. I don't think it was a world beater or anything, but it was one of those rides that my parents rode that I wasn't able to get on before it closed. And I remember it was in the great old amusement parks documentary. Had buzz bars, had a really long dark tunnel, and I imagine it had some pops of airtime.
And where was this?
It was at Whalen Park, which was in a small town in Massachusetts.
Okay. I had a bunch of defunct coasters listed so I could copy it and paste as you said, but I didn't have that one, so I'm going to put it in real quick just to have it on here. This is one I don't know much about, but I'll look into it. And I guess since it was close to you, I understand why.
That's the only reason it made the list.
Yeah. This is actually going to kind of go into my number 9. Which it only made the list because of the sort of connection like my family has to it, and that is Montaña Rusa at La Feria Chapultepec. Was it the greatest ride in the world? Probably not. But Obviously, super iconic coaster, and when it opened, it was, I think broke several records. So it was a very big deal at one point, and I have family members who were able to ride it, and I missed out on it when I went to Mexico City. So this is why I would have it here. What's your number 9?
Number 9, I had the Crystal Beach Cyclone because, just morbidly curious how wild that would have been having a twisted coaster like that way back in the 1920s.
Yeah, that was the one I debated with Giant Skyrocket if I wanted to put it on here. I decided to limit to only one crazy wooden coaster. But yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I would be curious.
Having the nerds in the station.
Yeah. Oh my God. That should already tell you how crazy it is that they had a nurse in the station. But yeah, my number 8 is Dragon Challenge at Universal's Islands of Adventure. I know this one might be controversial because yes, it's 2 coasters, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't put it on here if I just split them up. So I'm gonna have them kind of both. And also that's kind of what made this ride unique, was having the dueling aspect. So I guess dueling dragons, because I don't think it dueled much as Dragon Challenge.
Even as a standalone invert, those are really forceful and good inverts.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Chinese Fireball would be the one I would pick if I had to pick one over the other to ride. But obviously being able to duel on an inverted coaster is something that I would have liked to do. And I guess technically you can do it with the Chinese dueling dragons, but only one side is an invert, so yeah. What's your number 8?
Mega Zeph at Six Flags New Orleans. Just because CCI was making some great coasters in their late years, and that ride looked like it had a huge layout with a ton of airtime hills. The trick track probably wouldn't have been pleasant, but everything else looked good.
Yeah, that was a coaster I very much considered putting on here. I was pretty close to doing it. But I also think it does look really good, and it's one I would have liked to ride. My number 7 is Firehawk at Kings Island, which might be controversial because I know some people really like it, other people really don't. I'm a big fan of Tatsu, and hearing that as how this was the best of the Vekoma, I guess, flyers, the Dutchman, I guess. I'm just, this is one I would definitely want to ride if I could.
At least Batwing's still around, because that one's running pretty well this year.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I want to definitely hit up Batwing, or I know Nighthawk is apparently not nearly as good, but either of those before they end up going away. So yeah. What's your number 7?
Chiller at Six Flags Great Adventure. That ride closed before I could get to the park, but considering how much I love Mr. Freeze, I really wanted to ride that. The top hat looked fantastic on the Batman side. That 0G roll while I was there looked good, and being able to get a 0G roll backwards looked really cool.
Yeah, that is actually my number 6. Well, Batman and Robin the Chiller. I included both sides technically once again just because, although I think the Batman side probably would have been able to come on here just by itself. But just a super kind of, I mean, I guess that you have the Mr. Freeze clones, which are sort of similar, but just kind of a ride that's pretty unique, just in terms of the layout. So just compared to the other premier rides, launch coasters of the sort. So one I would have liked to experience. And also I heard these were pretty intense, actually really intense. So would have
especially if you could bring them while I was dueling.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome.
Until they realized that they blew out the power grid.
Yeah, that was a yikes. What is your number 6?
Stingray at Giant Wheel Park of Suho, that messed up looking Vekoma flyer.
Yes.
I know that because that was the one they made of that type, and I heard those elements in that ride pulled some very bizarre looking G-forces, and I really wish I could have tried that ride.
This is one when I was originally making the list, I had it, but I actually took it off in favor of Montagna Russa. So, but yeah, this thing, it looked, like you said, pretty messed up and just super weird for a flying coaster. I would have really liked to do it. That's another coaster that intrigued me when looking at it. It's too bad that it couldn't last. My number 5 is the original Bat at Kings Island. The swinging action on this thing looked insane, and it was, because it ended up pretty much destroying the coaster, or at least putting it out of, making it so it couldn't operate really. So, anyways, yeah, Bat, like I said, the swinging action looked crazy. I love out of control rides, and I think this would have done it for me. So Bat is my number 5. What's yours?
I had Hypersonic XLC at King's Dominion. I've ridden Dododampa, but I really wish I could have experienced one of those thrust air coaster top hats, because I heard the airtime was so strong it could hurt. And the thing that really stung with this one is I was at the park when it was open the first day I went to King's Dominion. But for reference, I just waited almost 2.5 hours for Volcano. And I knew I was going back on Monday, so I was like, oh, I'll just wait to do it the next day. It didn't open on that Monday, and then it was closed the next time I went back.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That one, you'll see that one on up higher for me, but yeah, the airtime is definitely something I would have liked to experience. My number 4 is actually Volcano the Blast Coaster at King's Dominion, as you mentioned it. It was like having a coaster like this that had a full circuit layout and having that kind of rollout thing outside of the volcano. Another ride that looked super unique. Even if it might have not been the best coaster ever, it's just one that is definitely one I would have really liked to do, and it was such a shame when I heard it was closed. It's just absolutely unfortunate. So
yeah, that was one I debated putting on there, because I rode it in its final year that April, and I didn't know that was going to be my last ride ever on it. Because I would have ridden it more that day had I known what was going to happen, but it hadn't had its major malfunction yet.
Alrighty, so what is your number 4? I see you sent me the thing for it, but what is the name of it exactly?
That is Roller Coaster at Lakewood Park. That is the Yankee Cannonball's former home. And if you're familiar with the Yankee Cannonball, it looks like a Canobie. The old ride looked nothing like it, and it looked like it had a back-breaking pull-out from the first drop, and it looked like it was on a hillside. So I'd just be morbidly curious to see what my home park's signature attraction was like in its old home.
Interesting. I'll put that up. This is how you spell it, right? Roller Coaster at Lakewood Park, yes?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, it looks pretty crazy. My number 3 is, this one's gonna take a bit of explain. This one's also obscure, but if you watched Canada Coaster Fan before his demise, he talked about this one quite a bit, and that is
Twist Coaster Robin.
Oh no. That'll be one of the last videos I do on a coaster. I'm actually going to do a video on that, but no, it's actually Jungle Storm, which was on the quiz, so I guess maybe you should have figured for those watching. But yeah, Jungle Storm, this is the messed up looking PAX Rides coaster that looks like it should be a family coaster, but it's not, and it has some crazy airtime, and it seemed to have like some crazy airtimes and good positives and some ridiculous head choppers. So that's why it's my number 3. If you haven't ever heard of this thing, as with most of these, definitely make sure to look it up. This ride is pretty crazy.
Yeah, all those PAX coasters that are disguised as family rides try to eject you.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
The Riverside Cyclone before it got into the hands of Six Flags. Because I heard when that ride opened, especially in 1983, that ride opened with buzz bars, and the airtime was so extreme they actually had to put shoulder belts in the ride in its opening year.
Oh, wow.
And eventually they switched to Morgan trains with more restrictive restraints. And so having ridden that ride in the Six Flags years when it was teamed, it still had 4 drops, some absolutely insane ejector airtime. And so if that ride was running smooth opening year with just buzz bars, that would have been insane. And it probably didn't have the trim brake at the end that basically cause you to crawl on the station. You probably got some wicked laterals too.
Dang. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do. I imagine there's probably like more pictures and stuff I can find of this. I haven't.
There are videos of it from the opening year if you search for it on YouTube.
Oh wow, I'll have to check that out. For sure. That seems pretty crazy. My number 2, I hinted at it earlier. Hypersonic XLC at King's Dominion. I haven't done Dododompa so yet. So that launch, I'd be curious. Just to experience something like it, and of course that airtime looked insane on that hill, so I would have really wanted to experience it for that reason. So Sonic XLC is my number 2 on here. What's your number 2?
Lightning Rod in its opening year.
Ooh, interesting. All right.
Just because I absolutely love the ride, and I've only ridden it when it's supposedly been tamed down. So I'd just be curious how much crazier that ride was when the launch, blast you over the top, because I heard that ride supposedly had speeds like in the mid 80s when it opened its opening year. And
Wow.
if the quad down already has airtime like this, what would it have been like under those conditions?
Dang. If I had thought about it, I probably would have had that as my number 1, or at least my number 2. But no, I like that. That's pretty cool. I would have, yeah, that opening year, it seemed absolutely insane. I imagine, do we have the same number 1? We might. I guess I'll go with mine first.
Is it in Korea?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, we do. Okay, so my number 1, and probably yours as well, is Eagle's Fortress at Everland. The swinging action on this thing looked crazy, and the terrain usage also looked really good. It was one of those other rides that it looked pretty out of control, and that's one of the things I crave in like just the ride coasters and rides. I like rides that feel out of control, and I think this it definitely looked like it did that. So yeah, and just to confirm, this is your number 1, yes?
Correct.
Alrighty.
Just because I love coasters with great pacing and great settings, and it looked like it had that.
Yeah, it looked absolutely phenomenal. And it's crazy to think that they had this and T-Express for 1 year, so that would have been one heck of a combo had it still been around. So, yeah. So that is our countdown. This is only the second time I've ever done a countdown like this. Let us know, or let me know in the chat if you liked it. Maybe if you would want maybe it to be a little shorter, or if this is perfect length. Let me know in the chat or in the comments later if you're watching this. So but that is pretty much the countdown. Next thing we're gonna do is our last segment before the end of the stream, which is topics to discuss, which is actually gonna be really questions I have for a Canobie coaster that I kind of came up with, or things I would like you, I guess, might talk about. And the first thing is just kind of, you can go any which way you want with this, but what are some challenges or things you have noticed that are different from, I guess, like the US when you're like traveling or going to international amusement parks? Just like a few things that are kind of different, or things you've noticed while doing these trips.
One really good thing, when you go to Europe, the parks there are much less averse to bad weather and ride closures. So if you're over here, you have some parks like Cedar Point where if there's a drizzle, they close all the rides. In Europe, it can be absolutely pouring and all the rides will be open. But further, the parks will be busy even if it's raining, because over there they get bad weather all the time, so they're used to it. So that's one thing that's good to know, because I remember my first time I went to a European park, it was Thorpe Park, and I saw it was a rainy Saturday. I'm like, crud, they might not even open. Show up at the park and every ride had an hour line.
Dang.
I guess one tip I have, though, in general, is just look up transportation well in advance, because that's probably the most daunting thing if you go abroad, especially if you're using public transit. Typically, like, I'll have a plan of attack going in, and I will, for example, I'll study Google Maps to figure out where exactly the bus stations are in the streets, and like look to see what the street signs look like, so I'm not just doing it for the first time, especially if you have a tight connection. And a lot of the times for those public transportation, for the trains in Europe, you save a lot of time if you book it in advance.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely something, yeah, with the public transportation and whatnot, that is something that is especially for me and probably others who haven't been, kind of something that's daunting. So I'll make sure to keep that in mind. Look it up
And if
on
you do
Google
drive,
Maps.
look at the road signs because every country has different signs than you might be used to. Like, for
Yeah.
example, if you're in France, there's it's been 2 years since I drove there, but basically it was like I think it was like a red circle or something. It was like a red bar or a black bar. Black basically meant you were coming up to a narrow one-lane road. If you had the black bar, it meant you had the right of way to keep going. If it was a red bar, you had to yield to any oncoming traffic before going through that area.
Oh, wow.
And if I didn't look that up in advance, I'd sit there just having no clue what was going on.
Ooh, and that would be really bad, probably. So, yeah, no, that's definitely, I didn't know about that at all. So that's crazy. But I guess it makes sense. Obviously, different countries are going to have different road signs and everything. So good to know about that. If you have anything else you want to say about like just anything, you can say it. And if not, we'll move on to the next thing.
I think those are the two biggest things I've just realized while traveling. The last one is if even if you go somewhere where they don't necessarily speak English, most of the staff is really understanding. If you just need to, like, for example, at Six Flags Mexico, I just had to. My Spanish wasn't very good, and I had to use like Google Translated points to just try to have conversations. Like say you happen to get a nosebleed in line, the staff doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, dang, yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I have heard from people who've been that generally the people around are relatively accommodating, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like in
yeah.
Japan, very few people speak English, but they're very extremely nice and willing to help.
Yeah,
I
I've
guess the
heard
other
that.
thing is if you ever go to Japan and you're trying to find tissues, don't show them on Google Translate, I'm looking for tissues, because they all laughed at me. I'm guessing it translated like the human body part by accident instead of Kleenex, but everyone laughed when I showed that to someone, so
Okay.
don't quite know what they saw.
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, that you don't want that to happen, that's for sure. But no, that's still pretty funny. The next question I have is, or the next thing I had is like, you've been to a lot of parks and ridden a lot of rides, but just what are some of the more memorable or perhaps even like crazy or just weird like ride or park experiences or moments you've had? Like if there's like a few or like one or two you'd like to mention, yeah, go for it.
So I hinted at it earlier when you showed Dive Coaster Vanish, but
Yes.
if you're familiar with Japan, you know that they are very strict with assigned seating. And I was trying to get the front row on that ride, and it was hard to do because they were only loading front to back, and so you had to be the first person at the front of the line. But they saw you get in line, they'd hold up the train for you because they were very accommodating. And so I came close, and I thought I had it, but then there was a group of two who for some reason didn't get on the previous train, came back in the line. I'm like, uh-oh, dang, I miscounted it. And I already paid the tickets, so I was like, okay, I'll just take row two. Well, in Japan, they don't allow you to ride roller coasters drunk. And that's, a rule in America too, but we just say don't ride things drunk. We don't actually enforce it. Well, they whipped out a breathalyzer. And so it basically looked like this yellow pole, and we didn't know what it was. And so it came out as a language barrier, and just the employee holds this yellow stick and goes, and we're just like, what? We thought it was like a microphone. No, it was a breathalyzer, and the people in front of us failed it. So we ended up getting the front row.
Oh my god. Wow.
So we had no clue what was going on with that, but we realized in Japan that we had that happen in a few parks where they gave us breathalyzers to get on rides.
Oh wow.
That's probably one of the crazier things.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I guess one of the other ones would be we all want that, everyone's dreams of getting like an Intamin rollback on Accelerator or, Dragster or King Ka. Yeah, I got a rollback in Expedition G-Force.
What?
The train went out of the station, cable lift failed, rolled right back in the station.
Oh my god.
And then
that's crazy.
because it was Germany and they have a little different rules than us, they didn't unbuckle our restraints or anything. They just put the ride in maintenance mode, and it took 8 minutes to get to the top of the lift, and then they just ran it right then and there.
Oh wow. Dang, that normally does G-Force run with one train at least? Or
I think they own a second one, but I don't know of anyone who's mentioned them running both at once. So I
I
don't know if that was one of those situations where if there was a second train in the course, I'm guessing it probably would have had some mechanism to stop it. And when the lift failed, basically they pulled us back in the station. But it basically felt like in the moment, like it locked up and then we immediately rolled back in the station.
wow, that is pretty bizarre. I didn't even know that was possible, so I'm surprised with that. Those are two pretty good ones.
Mhm.
If you have any other ones you want to mention, you can, and if not, we'll move on
Um,
to the next one. But those are pretty hard to beat. Those are pretty wild.
I guess the only weird one is I've been on rides that have derailed twice. Both have been trains.
What?
At Magic Forest in New York, the train derailed and they told us just to walk back to the station through the woods. And then at a small park, FEC in Cape Cod, Cartland, the little miniature train derailed, so they just told us to walk back again. And then I don't know if anyone's been to Hershey Park this year, but their train ride's having a lot of problems.
Oh
And we were
wow.
riding it Memorial Day weekend, and the train just stalled out at one point, and they had to push it back to the station. So I don't have good luck with train rides, I guess.
That is very weird. Man, yeah, two derailments and a weird stall out. That is great. That is definitely bizarre. I haven't even heard anything like any of that, and it's happened to you three times. Well,
Yep.
two derailments and the stall. So that's I've never heard that. That's pretty awesome. Um, and then the last one I have is you may have gone into this maybe in a stream before, maybe you haven't, but I haven't heard of it. Heard about it if you have. Basically, how did you become a coaster enthusiast, and what got you into making a channel? That's the last thing.
Yeah, so I don't remember a time I didn't love roller coasters. Like, one of my early memories, I remember having like a Storyland puzzle I did when I was like 2 years old, and I was told I couldn't get on Polar Coaster because I wasn't 36 inches yet. So it's a pretty long memory. But my parents just always took me to Storyland, Santa's Village, Canobie, the local carnivals, and I always loved them and just couldn't wait till I was tall enough to go on the bigger rides. And in terms of making the channel, I made it in late 2019, but I didn't post too much until COVID shutdown happened. Just because I had been really busy at work and I had to commute each way to work. But when COVID hit, frisbee was canceled, softball was canceled, so I didn't have things to do after work. Really weren't supposed to hang out with friends. I wasn't commuting into work, so basically the time I would have spent an hour each way into work, that was gone. So I had extra time to put into dedicating to the channel. And so people commented, "Oh, how do you have all these videos?" Well, truth be told, I had about a month or two backlog of videos at one point, just because I had nothing else to do during the COVID shutdown.
Dang.
And so I just basically expanded upon it during that. And eventually I'm probably going to slow down the uploads when I have to go in the office more consistently and I lose 2 hours of a day doing that. But I'm definitely going to keep posting, just I won't be with the same frequency when that happens.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, good on you in making the most of the opportunity during the lockdown. And in terms of, I guess most of the people I've heard about them becoming a coaster enthusiast, generally it was like, at least from what I've heard, mostly it's like people, they were scared of coasters and then they finally rode something. That was how it was in my case, and I think some previous guests have mentioned that. So it's interesting, like you've just kind of, I guess, always been into it to the point where you were into it even when you were too short to ride something that was like, you said 36 inches or
Yeah, because apparently Storyland, you had to be 3 years old and 36 inches to ride the roller coaster, and apparently I didn't hit that age too for some reason. But yeah, like I just want to ride every coaster I could at a young age, and then there were some that the things that freaked me out most, ironically enough, were some of the rides at Disney with pre-shows. Because when I was like 5 years old, I was a stupid 5 years old. No problem going Space Mountain, no problem going Splash Mountain, but Tower of Terror freaked me out. Not because of the drop, but because the pre-show, I didn't want to get turned into a ghost. Again, I was a stupid 5-year-old. Just like I wouldn't do Honey, I Shrunk the Audience because I didn't actually want to get shrunk down. Again, stupid 5-year-old.
Hey, I mean, we've all been there, so.
Yeah, but that
No,
was
it's still pretty
still,
funny.
looking back, that was probably one of the dumbest reasons I could have given why I wouldn't want to go on a ride.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the more unique reasons I've heard of. So, no, but it's pretty funny. And I haven't heard anything like that I haven't heard anything like that, so that's
Mhm.
cool.
Just like I wouldn't go on the dark ride Storyland because they had a giant cannon and I thought it was going to blast me off to the moon, literally. Again, I was a stupid child.
Yeah, like I said, we've all been there, so it is what it is. But yeah, no, it's still funny, just like the things that we think of when we're like younger.
Mm.
Um, I guess now this will lead into the. Oh, unless you have anything else you want to add, real quick before we move on. Do you have anything to add, or
No, I think I covered what I want to mention.
alrighty? So we'll move on then to basically end of stream Q&A. So ask us any last questions you have, and I guess also just as a quick thing before the questions start coming up. If you haven't yet, make sure to follow me, Coaster Hour. If you haven't, on YouTube, Instagram, and join the Discord. I have the links to all of those in the description. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to Canobie Coaster on YouTube and follow him on Instagram and Facebook, as well as joining his Discord. All the links are in the description there. If you have anything you want to say about that, yeah, I guess you can right now.
Nope, I think you got it all covered. Basically, the YouTube's the primary one. There's pictures and Instagram. And then the Discord server to talk to people, and Facebook. Don't really use that one too much. That was more so just got it before someone else could take the domain.
Yeah, that's a good idea for sure. I was just making sure I wasn't forgetting anything there, but yeah. All right, first question is, did you know? Yeah, I've heard about the infamous Volair in North Korea. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be one of the rare coaster credits just in the world in general. That's a pretty hard one to get to.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever ride that exact one, but I can ride the clone at Coney Island and ride Playland.
Yeah. Um, but
Yeah, I see a few people talking about Carowinds in the chat. For anyone going, beware staffing problems.
yep. I mean, it's an issue at definitely more than a few parks, but
They had Intimidator closed literally for the reason they gave was staffing. And I was shocked the park would
yikes.
willingly close like their hyper coaster instead of, something like Hurler.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising. Um, Thoughts on Voyage? I'm sure you've done a review on it already, and I haven't
Yep.
ridden it, so.
Yeah, I have a review on it. That ride's absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's a relentless ride, lots of airtime, great setting. Pitch black night rides, fantastic pacing. That ride's spectacular. And there's a reason it is an hour-long ride. An hour-long line at an ERT session at Hollywood Nights every year.
Yeah, I mean, I want to write it so badly. So, yeah. Let's see. I don't know if I don't know that I've ever kept track of this, and I don't know that I've done it too many times. How many times in one day have you had to leave a coaster line for any reason? I think maybe twice.
I can think of a day where I went to Kings Island last year where there were thunderstorms that were in the area, like on the outskirts of wherever the radius was. And so we just kept on getting kicked out of the line. So never mechanical. It was just like I'd get in line for beefs. Oh, sorry, we're down due to weather. Rides would open up. I'd do like Banshee, then I'd go over to Invertigo. Oh, we're closed due to weather. I'd go due to Orion once, and then second time, closed due to weather. So I think that happened like 3 or 4 times that day. I'm trying to think when else I've had to leave a coaster's line. I think I did it a few times at Galaxyland, and just because they did like 3 or 4 inspections a day on Mindbender, and I left the line whenever that happened because I knew it was an hour-long inspection. And then that park, if you were in line for something but you didn't get on before closing time hit, they kicked you out of line.
Oof. Man, that is tough. I guess actually knots I think I've done like 2 times. There wasn't I think Accelerator I wanted to get a rewrite on it, but the line was moving pretty slowly because of the one train ops. And there was some other ride, I don't know if it was for a closure or something, but I remember having to leave. It was one of the supporting coasters, nothing too major there. At Cedar Point, I just remembered this. Gemini, it started raining, and I think I was in line for Gemini, and they closed it. They closed several rides, and then that same day, when I was literally right about to get on Maverick, I was literally standing in front of the train. The ride broke down, so that was pretty epic. So those would be, I guess, my experiences there. Let's see. I know you have ridden a lot of coasters, but what is the most notable coaster, I guess, in your opinion, you haven't ridden yet? For you.
Like one of the ones that's at the top of my bucket list is T Express because I love the start of El Toro, and I love Balder. I wish that ride had a better first drop, and it looks like that's the perfect marriage of those 2 rides.
Yeah, T Express looks really good. For me, I don't even know. I mean, there's a lot, so I still have a lot to get to. Let's see. What else we have? Let's see. Oh, thoughts on Park Asterix. This is an interesting
I really love
park.
that park. It's one of those parks that has theming and thrills blended together. It's not as good as a Disney level park in terms of theming, but it has just a really quirky theme throughout. And Osiris is my favorite invert. That ride's fantastic. And I know Tonnerre de Zeus was running slow during my visit, but it still had some awesome moments on it.
And you rode it before the retracking or after?
It was after the retracking. I think the problem was I went on a day where there was supposed to be like a 90% chance of rain, and it never rained. So I don't think they bothered like lubricating the tracks because it would just sound like death going around the circuit. And on the last hour, they started greasing the track, and it started to run a little faster, but it was so close to closing, it didn't have time to warm up that day.
I imagine you have to be pretty excited for Tutatis whenever it opens. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that coaster.
Yeah, that ride looks awesome. I'll definitely be back when that opens, but that ride seems like it just keeps getting postponed another year.
Yeah. 2023, let's hope. I think that's what they're shooting for right now, so let's hope. Let's see. I think this is going to be the last question. What major amusement park do you want to visit next that you have not gone to yet is, I think, the question. Yeah.
Probably Energylandia, just because they have such a huge top-end coaster lineup. I've heard mixed things about the park, but it's one I want to get to because I haven't been there. I also want to get to Shanghai Disneyland, Hong Kong Disneyland at some point because I'm such a big Disney fan.
If we're going by like any park I could pick, I'd definitely go with Tokyo Disney Sea. That's my number 1 bucket list park. But if I was going for more a park where I'm there for the coasters, I mean, Energylandia is definitely up there. And then, probably, I think I would go with Energylandia. So that would probably also be my pick, just because they have such a stacked lineup. Okay, one more question. Airtime or intensity? Or do you have a preference? I guess, because maybe you don't, but...
I guess I'll lean towards airtime, though. For me, it just comes down to pacing and re-rideability more than those two. Like, for example, Hagrid's is a ride that's not very intense. It doesn't have any airtime, but the way that ride's designed, it keeps the tempo up the whole ride. You're always excited with what it's doing. So that's the thing I care most about.
Alrighty, fair enough. I think I do lean more towards airtime. That being said, my thing is if a ride feels out of control, I'm gonna like it. So that's why X2 is my number 2 overall. So even though that really doesn't have any airtime, so yeah. I think, and we have another question. All right, this is the actual final one. Favorite flat ride?
Yep, I mentioned it
Oh,
a little
yeah, we
earlier,
mentioned
but
it earlier.
Mountain Monster and Pigeon Forge, that ride's nuts. I have a review on that one.
Yeah, and he's got a ranking of his flat rides, so make sure to check it out. My favorite, now this one I've always kind of struggled to answer because I haven't ridden that many. I'm not the biggest fan of flat rides. It's not that I dislike them, it's just I just never seem to have the time to actually do them when I'm at the parks I'm visiting, and also the parks I've gone to don't really have the best collections. Like Hershey Park, they don't really got much, and I guess Cedar Point, they have some things. But I I'm not gonna include drop towers. But if I did, then my favorite would be if I included drop towers, then my favorite would be Guardians. But that's not really fair. So for favorite flat ride. I don't know if it's my favorite, but my most memorable one is the Arm Rides Typhoon that's at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. They had us, they did a really long, like 5 to maybe like even 5.5 minute cycle on it. And the hang time was insane and it was super intense.
That's one of those kamikaze rides, right?
Like, it's like a Zamperla Hawk. Yeah, it's
Okay.
an inverting, yeah. So, yeah.
Is that one of those ones you're in the cage, or is it the open cars?
Um, it is this one would be more of a cage style,
Okay.
but yeah, it's not as open as the Zamperla Hawks, but that one is my most memorable. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but yeah. All right, so that's gonna wrap up the stream and the episode of Coaster Time. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on here. It was a blast having you on here. And of course, like I've wanted to have you on it for a long time, so it's really awesome to finally be able to do that. And for those of you watching, either who started watching later or are watching after the stream is over, like I said, timestamps are in the description and will be in a pinned comment. So if you want to see that, see certain parts of the stream, you can find the timestamps in the comments. And is there anything you want to say, Mike, before we head out?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Always happy to do something like this. Yeah, really well organized stream, well run, and I'd be happy to do this again sometime. But yeah, thanks again for everyone who chimed in and asked questions, and it's just nice interacting with everyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to have you on again at some point if it was able to work out. For sure. It's been awesome having you, as I've said. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time here on Coaster Hour. See you again.